What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Talking Pigskin Week 16 edition. As always, I'm your host, Kishwar. And I want to begin this video by giving a quick shout out to my friend Alex, who got me a beautiful stage light for these videos. Hence why this video is going to be 10 times brighter than the previous videos that I've posted for the past couple of years. So thank you, Alex, for this. Transitioning to football, what did we learn in Week 15? We learned that Bryce Petty cannot play quarterback. I mean, this guy was just straight garbage. There's a reason why Todd Bowles didn't want to go with either Petty or Hackenberg at the beginning of the season, and it's evident. These guys are just not ready for pro football. It's unfortunate Jets can't develop a quarterback. They haven't been doing that for the past couple of decades, I would say, since Joe Namath probably. But, it is what it is. They didn't expect the Jets to hang around much in that game, but surprisingly, the defense played really good. It caused 3 turnovers. That's pretty good. Encouraging signs in all facets because this young talent is developing well. Moving forward to next season, we're gonna have the pieces in place. We just gotta get a damn quarterback. Hopefully, someone from free agency can come because I don't know if the Jets will be able to land one in the draft. Now, moving on to Week 16, and this week we don't have any Thursday night games. We're gonna have 2 Saturday games. One at 4:30, where the Baltimore Colts. Wow, I completely botched that one. It's the Baltimore Ravens taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Now, Colts actually have nothing to play for, and the Ravens are fighting for that 6th or even 5th seed in the AFC wildcard chase. Colts with Jacoby Brissett, they show fight every week. They try to stay in game. However, they're the worst team in fourth quarter where they just blow every single game. And last week against Brock Osweiler, they didn't look well at all. Hopefully, they will show a little bit more fight in this game. But at the Ravens, where Baltimore has everything to play for, I think they will. This is a mismatch. I think Raven defense will suffocate that Colt offense, and Joe Flacco will just do enough on offense to get this W. So I'm going to pick Baltimore for that game. And then we have a Saturday night game where we have the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Lambeau to take on Green Bay Packers. Very sad ending to Aaron Rodgers' season. He came back last week hoping to run the table one more time, but it just wasn't going to happen. It was a much tougher road this time around, and Panthers was able to contain him and get the W last week, which essentially knocked the Packers out of the wild card hunt. Despite Falcons' victory last night, we all knew realistically their chances were slim to none. So Rodgers will be deactivated for the rest of the season, and I believe Brett Hundley will get the start. I don't think he will do much against his Viking defense. They're prime time ready. They're battle tested. They're going to travel to Lambeau, and they're going to put a hurting on this quarterback. I feel bad for Brett Hundley only because Vikings are actually fighting for the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they will try to do everything in their power to get it. So Vikings will be all over this team. And Case Keenum, keep doing your thing because this has been a great story, and I wish that player does well and takes the Vikings to deep in playoffs. Moving on to Sunday's games, we have the Atlanta Falcons taking on the New Orleans Saints. This will be a very good game. Falcons have to win out for them to keep the 6th seed, or else the Dallas Cowboys or the Detroit Lions might sneak in. Their offense hasn't been very good. Matt Ryan is barely doing anything. Devonta Freeman has been carrying the load mostly. Julio Jones needs to get involved more. That defense is all right. They're not, they're not making enough plays anyway. They're just trying to keep the team in games. As for the Saints offense, number 1 offense in the league was evident. A fourth quarter in last week. First 3 quarters they were taken by the Jets defense, but Drew Brees in this offense is hard to stop. The defense is not that bad either. I believe this will be a shootout amongst them two, but I think Saints will pull out the victory. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Carolina Panthers. Like I mentioned last week, Buccaneers had a very disappointing year. Even with Hard Knocks and all the hype around this team just did not live up to expectation. Jameis Winston did not have a good year. He did have a good Monday night game last night. Monday night, but most of the season he was just off target. As for the Panthers, Cam Newton is balling. I think he's going to take this team to at least the 5th seed. Maybe might challenge the Saints for the division next week. But I think Panthers are going to make the playoffs for sure, and they're going to be all over the Buccaneers. Moving on to the next game, we have the Cleveland Browns taking on the Chicago Bears. This is going to be a very interesting game only because I believe this is the only shot Cleveland has for a W this season. Keep in mind they won last year, Week 15 against the Chargers as their only victory of the season. So maybe they can work that magic against the Bears and Mr. Trubisky. But Trubisky's playing relatively well. I expect him to continue that against a poorly Browns defense. Hopefully he can get it going. And I believe Browns are just destined for 0-16 this year. So Bears over the Browns. Moving on to the LA Chargers, traveling to East Coast to take on the Jets. I know every time there's a West Coast team traveling to East Coast, I always tell you guys that I don't feel good about it. But in this case, Phillip Rivers and that offense had a rough outing against the Chiefs, but I don't expect that against this Jet team. They're going to do everything in their power to stay alive in the AFC wildcard chase. The Jets with Bryce Petty aren't much of a show. They can't really get much going. They're probably going to end up finishing 5-11. I don't think they can beat the Chargers or the Patriots. Just keep developing these players. That's all I ask as a fan. As for the Chargers, Phillip Rivers needs to turn this around after what happened last week, and I think he will. So Chargers will be all over the Jets. Moving on to the Detroit Lions taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. The Lions have everything to play for. I feel like a whole bunch of teams this week will be asking for a Christmas miracle because most of their team's destiny is not on their hands. They're actually relying on others to mess up. And Lions happen to be one of them. I believe going to the Bengals, this team is in a disarray. Marvin Lewis will finally be relieved of his duties at the end of the year. It's long overdue to me. 15 years in this as a head coach and no playoff wins is outrageous to me, but I guess Cincinnati ownership likes mediocrity. But Detroit, Jim Caldwell and Jim Bob Cooter will have that offense ready to go against his lowly Bengals defense, and I think Matt Stafford will continue having his 4,000-yard season, and he will pull out the victory. Moving on to Miami Dolphins traveling to Arrowhead to take on the Chiefs. The Chiefs finally turning around since the Jet loss. They've actually won 2 straight. At home, catching the Dolphins at the right time. I believe the Chiefs can protect home field and take care of business. I think they will clinch the AFC West this week. Sorry, I don't know why I said West. But the Dolphins, coming off that Monday night victory, they looked very offbeat on Sunday against the Bills, which I'm not sure what happened there. But I don't expect them to go to Arrowhead and take down Alex Smith and that offense. And Kareem Hunt finally came back to life. Hopefully he can get going. So Chiefs all over the Dolphins. Moving on to the Buffalo Bills, trying to Foxborough to take on the Patriots. The Patriots, I feel like every time there's a new rule or there's some BS rule, they're involved. Nothing against the players, but that team, I swear to God, is not well liked by 31 other fan bases. I can guarantee you that. I'm not going to say I'm one of them, but I definitely don't appreciate the fact that they're on the right side of all these wrong calls. So hopefully, as Patriots, all the Patriots fans will understand that I speak on behalf of all the other fan bases. I'm not trying to hate. It's just that Patriots are involved in every shady play that has been in the NFL for the past decade. Anyway, against the Bills, I believe they will have a very easy game because Tyrod Taylor has been looking good at home, but away from home, he's not that great. I saw it firsthand when they came to MetLife and just got throttled by the Jets. That defense has been playing good, but you cannot go to Foxborough and tame that offense. I think New England will be all over this team. Moving on to the LA Rams taking on the Tennessee Titans. The Titans have 2 very hard games to close out the season. They're going to have the Rams this week and the Jaguars next week. And they have to win at least one of these games to keep that playoff spot they currently hold. I don't see it happening. I think they're going to lose out the next 2. They're going to be out of the playoffs. Marcus Mariota had a great year. Nothing against him. It's just that the opposition is going to be so much better. Jared Goff and company put on a show last week in Seattle. Did not expect that. Never thought I would live to see a day where the Legion of Boom, which is no longer there because they're all hurt, but Seattle defense getting embarrassed at CenturyLink is like seeing a unicorn. So definitely Todd Gurley and Jared Goff had a beautiful day on offense, and I expect them to continue that at Tennessee this Sunday. Moving on to 4 o'clock games. No, we have one more. Sorry. We have the Denver Broncos traveling to Washington Redskins. Both teams have been eliminated from playoff contention. They got nothing to play for. I believe Brock Osweiler will get the start, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to continue the starting position, even though Redskins are out. Redskins will run all over that team. The Broncos, like I said, with Osweiler, they're nothing. Even though they beat the Colts last week, but they're nothing. Moving on to, now we can move on to 4 o'clock games. So the first game we have are the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the San Francisco 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, 3-game winning streak. How about that? He's doing this with a whole bunch of nobodies. and he's averaging 300 plus yards a game. This is impressive from this quarterback. Kyle Shanahan clearly knows what to do with him. I just hope during this offseason they can get him some weapons so he'll be ready to go next year. And the NFC West will be very good to watch next year. As for the Jaguars, congrats to them. They finally clinched the playoff spot after a decade. It's long overdue. Tom Coughlin has turned that team around in his first year. Very impressive. Good credit to Doug Marrone on doing a heck of a coaching job. That defense, probably the best defense in the league right now. So they're gonna go up there, try to tame Jimmy Garoppolo, and they'll probably be successful. Blake Bortles has been the hottest quarterback in the league for the last 3 weeks, and I expect that to continue. The Jaguars will take down the 49ers. Moving on to the Giants-Cardinals, both teams eliminated from playoff contention. Both teams have been relevant all year long. I'm going to go with Cardinals at home. Not sure if Blaine Gabbert is starting or Palmer, but Eli and the Giants, this has been a complete waste of a season. So let's leave it at that. Moving on to the premier 4 o'clock game, Seahawks at Dallas Cowboys. Coming off an embarrassing loss at home, they're going to try to take it out on the Cowboys. However, with Zeke returning, this is going to be a hard game for Seattle defense again. I think the Cowboys can somehow sneak into the playoffs only because Atlanta's schedule is a lot tougher than the Cowboys. With Seattle at home and next week at Philadelphia, where they might have been locked up all first round bye or the home field advantage, we'll have them to play for. I think Dallas will play great these next 2 weeks and somehow get in the playoffs. I just don't see the Seahawks bouncing back from last week. I think that was a very devastating loss that it will sting them. Even after the game, Bobby Wagner and Earl Thomas had a little dispute over Twitter. Just doesn't look good for them. I think Dallas will easily handle them and take care of business at home. Mind you, there is no Saturday night game this week, as for we'll be celebrating Christmas Eve. But on Christmas Day, along with the 5 NBA games we always get every year, we'll have 2 NFL games this year. And the first game is the Pittsburgh Steelers at Houston Texans. Antonio Brown has been shut down for the year. No need for him to play in this game. I think Martavis Bryant will do the job anyway. Big Ben Roethlisberger, that boneheaded interception, it's not on him. I just think it was just a botched play from start to finish from the coaching staff, not the quarterback. Should have never happened. Should have just taken the field goal, but it is what it is. Just probably should have won the game on that touchdown anyway. But going to Houston, where DeAndre Hopkins has been the show in Texans town, I don't see them doing anything else against Pittsburgh. I think this will be a blowout. Pittsburgh will be all over that team. And Monday night game, we have the Raiders traveling to the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Foles looked pretty good against the Giants defense, but the Eagles defense did not. Hopefully they will be able to turn it around. As for Derek Carr and the Raiders, feels so bad for him. He almost had that touchdown. However, that was a clear fumble in the end zone, and that was the difference in the game. So, again, Raiders and Buccaneers, 2 very disappointing teams this year that I expected them to go a long way. So there you have it. Again, with all these games this week, all the playoff implications, this should be a fun week to watch. For lock of the week, I will probably go with the LA Chargers taking on the New York Jets. It's just a no-brainer. And for upset of the week, I will go with, and this is going to be hard, but I believe, even though I'm picking the Jaguars, I think the 49ers might be able to upset them now. Don't hold me against it, but this is a hard week, so I'm not sure who's going to be able to pull an upset. But if anyone does, I think Jimmy Garoppolo has a shot. There you guys have it. Please let me know what you think of these picks. Like, subscribe, comment. Again, holidays are here. I hope everyone is having a great holiday season. Merry Christmas to you all. I will see you next week with Week 17 picks. Until then, it's good night for now.